like to switch things up a little bit, and whilst I always plant strawberries in the polytunnel, I usually plant them straight into the baskets that I hang. And last year I decided that I would pot a lot of strawberry runners and see if I could just get them going a little bit earlier and a little bit healthier in the polytunnel before I put them into the baskets. So that's what these are about. And I've got some strawberries that didn't fruit last year, or hardly at all, because they were in the shade, and they're really healthy plants. So I'm thinking I'm going to break those up and pot them as well, and give all the strawberries a really good chance to get going before I put them in the baskets. And that'll be different, and hopefully it will result in more fruit. We'll see. So the strawberries that were in the shade are these round here. And as you can see, versus the ones in the pots, they really are looking very healthy indeed. So I think I won't be able to break those out of the soil because the soil's frozen, but I can bring those into the polytunnel and then I'll separate them a little bit later. I've got the label in here, and this is Cambridge Favourite. So that's a bit of a plan. One thing I am going to do with these is give them a bit of a clean up, get rid of the seeds that have come down from the tree and any dead leaves, and just clip them off. Get all these nice and cleaned up and get them into the polytunnel. Well, that was a good job. And if you look at these now, they're clear. I cut off any of the flowering stems like these because they really aren't going to come to anything, and they just take up the goodness from the plant. Now, of course, if you are keeping your strawberries outside, you don't want to do this. This material that I've cut out actually serves to help protect the plants during the really cold weather, and they'll come through sure enough in the spring, and you'll be able to chop that sort of material away. But these are going into the polytunnel, so I'm trying to get a head start, and that's why I'm removing it. So I'll get those into the tunnel and we'll have a look at my onions. Not good. There they are then, in the corner of the polytunnel. It's nice to have some plants in the polytunnel again. And the pots are really very frozen, so I've not dug into the surface soil. I'll wait until they defrost, and then we'll take some of that surface material off of them, give them a fresh covering of compost and a bit of a water, maybe even a bit of a feed, although it is a bit early. And they'll get underway, and I'm hoping that they'll be that much more healthy for coming into the polytunnel before I start to use them in the baskets. So, my onions. Well, this is the Bedfordshire Champion that I've brought over from the house. And as you can see, they've all but disappeared. And I'm not sure quite why. The other onions have done reasonably well. And the ones that I brought out from the house, these Pruning, they're looking a bit winicky, but they're holding in there. And it's not too late to sow more onions, and that is far less than I want in the plot. So I'm going to sow some onions in some seed trays, and maybe in some of these root trays, because I just don't want to have a failed season of onions. And I suppose what's important is that this allotment channel is about following my journey. And whilst I've gained quite a bit of knowledge over the years, what's really clear is that it can go wrong. and following what I do is not necessarily the right way of doing things, and I'm happy to share with you my failures as well as my successes. And I'm sure there's many people who grow Bedfordshire Champion successfully indoors and then bring them out. So continuing my theory of sowing seeds into deeper containers, I'm going to use these fairly small containers but deep, and I'm going to sow myself another sowing of each of the onions that I have sown indoors, and this would be a real test to see whether in fact I do need to bother to sow indoors with my onions. I know I do with peppers, but onions, the jury is out for sure. So I'll get on and sow one of each of those. It's not too early. If you look at these onion seeds, this is Bedfordshire Champion. Sow outdoors March to April, sow indoors January, February, March. So here we are at the end of January, and it's the same for all the onions. No problem at all sowing them out. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get myself a pot of each of these and see how we get on. So that's 3 pots of onions. When I came to do the zebrune, the packet was empty, but I've got another one over at the house, so we'll bring that one over. I'll put these now under the cloche. They'll need a watering. And the last seeds I'm going to sow today, I'm going to sow some leeks. Now, during the week I said that I thought it was a bit too early, but hey, it's good fun growing things that you're going to eat and doing a bit of experimenting with them. So I'm going to take this really deep pot, because I think leeks need a good deep pot, and I'm going to sow a few of these Lyon leeks really early and just see what they do. What's been interesting for me is that I ran out of leeks again this year. So we had the last leeks about a week ago. Now they were pretty forlorn. They started to get soft because of the frost, but nonetheless I think I could grow or plant more leeks and make really good use of them. So I might have more this year, and getting some off early will be interesting. So let's sow a pot of those. So they're in. So let's be clear about leeks. On this packet it says sow under glass January and February, and sow outdoors March and April. So they're absolutely perfect for sowing now. It's just that here, where the season starts a lot later and it's very cold, I often think it's worth leaving them later. So we will have some later on down the road, but hey, it's February next week. Come on. It's back. Well, snow seems to be coming and going this season. There's no two ways about it. Not too bad this morning, but it got quite thick yesterday. So I don't think it's going to be too much going on today. Feed the chickens, make sure they got water that's not frozen, and then I think it'll be jobs in the house today. I've been looking forward to has been pruning these gooseberries, and I want to get a sort of hedgerow or 2 hedgerows, and therefore if I take off these branches that are just straying too far across, I can keep control of their shape. And you can see particularly this one is getting a little bit out of hand, so it isn't an awful lot of trimming, but just enough to keep everything shapely. And that'll be all the pruning that I'm likely to do on these this year, because they really aren't dense bushes. As I go, if I see anything that's really crossing over and causing problems, I'll take it out. I do hope you enjoyed the video today. If you did, click the subscribe button, click the like button, and if you want updates from me each time I upload a video, click the bell and select all. I do hope you have a great day. Diolch yn fawr.